let's continue on. Uploading your mind to a computer will require three crucial things. This is sciencealert.com. Imagine brain scanning technology improves greatly in the coming decades to the point where we can observe how each individual neuron talks to other neurons. And then imagine we can record all this information to create a simulation of someone's brain on a computer. This is the concept behind mind uploading, the idea that we may one day be able to transition a person from their biological body to a synthetic hardware. The idea originated in an intellectual movement called transhumanism and has several key advocates, including computer scientist Ray Kurzweil, philosopher Nick Bostrom, and neuroscientist Randall Cohen. I don't know, Cohn. The transhumanist central hope is to ascend the human condition through scientific and technological progress. They believe mind uploading may allow us to live as long as we want. Interesting. So, uploading your consciousness, basically uploading who you are as a person onto a laptop, a computer, or something like that, but have yourself, your essence, your soul basically on a hard drive in your phone, something that you could download, something that you could potentially send in an email. Is that what this is talking about? I'm not sure. Let's continue reading. The feasibility of mind uploading rests on three core assumptions. First is the technology assumption, the idea that we will be able to develop mind uploading technology within the coming decades. Second is the artificial mind assumption, the idea that a simulated brain would give rise to a real mind. And third is the survival assumption, the idea that the person created in the process is really you. Only then does mind uploading become a way for you to live on. How plausible is each of these? Each of these on their own are very important and very integral. Some I can see as more of a issue than others, but let's continue reading. First off, the technology assumption. Very hard to simulate a human brain. We are not even close in terms of a technological way to do this. Very, very hard to do so, and we are just scratching the surface right now in 2023. Trying to simulate the human brain would be a monumental challenge. Our brains are the most complex structures in the known universe. They house 86 billion neurons and 85 billion non-neural cells with an estimated 1 billion. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. With an estimated 1 million billion neural connections. A lot of connections. For comparison, the Milky Way galaxy is home to about 200 billion stars. A lot of stuff in there. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to map out all of these neuron connections and see how they interact with each other and what each individual connection is to see how we can basically what they will call here mapping it out. So creating a map for the brain and for the mind. Let's continue on. Where are we on the path to creating brain simulations? Right now, neuroscientists are drawing up 3D wiring programs of the brains of simple organisms. The most complex, comprehensive connectome we have to date is of a fruit fly larva, which has about 3,000 neurons and 500,000 neural connections. We might expect to map a mouse's brain within the next 10 years. So 3,000 neurons compared to 86 billion neurons. Quite a discrepancy. The human brain, however, is 1,000 times more complex than a mouse brain. Would it take us 10,000 years to map a human brain? Probably not. We have seen astonishing gains in efficiency in similar projects such as the Human Genome Project, which you should check out. It took years and hundreds of millions of dollars to mass the first human genome about 20 years ago. Today, the fastest labs can do it within hours for about $100. With similar gains in efficiency, we might see mind uploading technology within the lifetime of our children or grandchildren. I would say probably grandchildren. That said, there are other obstacles. Creating a static brain map is only one part of the job. To simulate a functioning brain, we would need to observe single neurons in action. It's not obvious whether we would achieve this in the near future. Many different factors can go into this. One, I think, is just money. Are you going to have the money to invest and research this topic? Because it's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of time to be able to map a human brain, much less to try and see what the connections themselves, the individual connections, are doing to the brain. What makes you sad? What makes you happy? Is it these particular neurons that are firing together that make you happy, or is it this configuration? Up next, the artificial mind assumption. Would a simulation of your brain give rise to a conscious mind like yours? This is one of the biggest questions possible. The answer depends on the connection between our minds and our bodies. Unlike the 17th century philosopher Rene Descartes, who thought mind and body are radically different, most academic philosophers today think that the mind is ultimately something physical itself. Put simply, your mind is your brain. Still, how could a simulated brain give rise to a real mind if it's only a simulation? If we're in a computer, if we're in a digital landscape, if we're simulating this experience that we're having right now, whether you're listening or watching to the video, trying to simulate this experience is a little difficult. Well, many cognitive scientists believe it's your brain's complex neural structure that is responsible for creating your conscious mind, rather than the nature of its biological matter. So basically, it's not that the fact that your brain is made up of different molecules, it's the fact that you have certain neural structure. So your neurons in your brain are set up in a certain way. One is a little bit higher, one's a little bit lower, one's connecting to this one, whereas in somebody else, it's connecting to that one. The idea is that more so than, well, this brain has this much fat. It's 95% fat and 3% muscle in this, and this one's 94%. It's not like that. It's the actual neuron connections in the brain, of which there are billions upon billions and trillions upon trillions, that actually make us who we are. And now one of the interesting things is that over time, as we're kids, new connections will get made. You learn something new, you learn a new language. That's something that gets added to your brain. You get new neural connections that somebody who grows up in, let's say, China and never hears the English language will simply not be able to have a conversation, because in their brain, they physically do not have a neural connection between speaking English, certain words that I'm saying, and connecting it to their ears, to their mouth, to their tongue, the muscles in their face so that they can speak it, the muscles in their ears and the sensory organs in their ears so that they can hear it and understand it. They don't have that connection. I don't have that connection with speaking. I pick a language, German, Russian. I can't speak those languages because, one, I don't have any experience with those languages. And as a result, I don't have any connections in my brain to understand those. Let's continue on. When implemented on a computer, the simulated brain would replicate your brain structure. For every simulated neuron and neural connection, there will be a corresponding piece of computer hardware. The simulation will replicate your brain structure and thereby replicate your conscious mind. Today's AI systems provide useful, though inconclusive, evidence for the structural approach to the mind. These structures run on artificial neural networks, which copy some of the brain's structural principles. Are they able to perform many tasks that require, and they are able to perform many tasks that require a lot of cognitive work in us. Now, obviously, they haven't done testing of taking somebody's brain, putting it in somebody else, and then that person being able to somehow say that that person is now the same as the other person. Like we really don't understand exactly what's going on, what our experience in this life is. And many people would go to religion to explain that. And yeah, that 100% makes sense because there's an explanation right there, depending on what religion you are in terms of your faith of. However, if we were able to transfer your entire existence, your entire personality, all of your memories, all of your little quirks that you do, the things that make you tick, if you could implement that and transfer that over or copy that onto another being and upload it, would that be the same? If the neural structure in the brain is all the same, is that person then going to be the same as you? Is that person going to be a copy of you, brain wise? Or is there something of a higher level that we would call our soul that is something that we do not understand and we cannot replicate? And then that begs the question of, is there higher dimensional powers that can do so? I don't know. Maybe. Moving on. The survival assumption. Let's assume it is possible to simulate a human brain and that the simulation creates a conscious mind. Would the uploaded person really be you, or perhaps just a mental clone? This harks back to an old philosophical puzzle. What makes it the case that when you get out of bed in the morning, you're still the same person who went to bed the night before? Philosophers are divided broadly into two camps on this question. The biological camps believe morning you and evening you are the same person because they are the same biological organism, connected by one biological life process. The bigger mental camp think the fact that we have minds makes all the difference. Morning you and evening you are the same person because they share a mental life. Morning you remembers what evening you did. They have the same beliefs, hopes, character traits, and so on. So which camp is right? Here's a way to test your own intuition. Imagine your brain is transplanted into the empty skull of another person's body. Interesting. Is the resulting person who has your memories, preferences, and personality you, as the mental camp thinks, or are they the person who donated their body as the biological camp thinks? In other words, did you get a new body or did you get a new mind? A lot hangs on this question. How so? Well, if the biological camp is right, then mind uploading wouldn't work, assuming the whole point of uploading is to leave one's biology behind. If the mental camp is right, there is a chance for uploading, since the uploaded mind could be a genuine continuation of one's present mental life. So, is you as a person, your hopes, dreams, everything, your emotions, all of this stuff, character traits, everything, is that something that is physically specific to your physical brain? Or is that something that is in your mind, is of you of an essence, something that can be copied from your brain and implemented onto another person? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's interesting to think about though, because technology will at some point probably get to a point where we'll be able to map out the human brain and we'll be able to say we can make 100% exact copy of your brain and of all your connections, of all your hopes, dreams, beliefs, how you react to this, how you react to that, and upload it to a server and put it into a newborn baby so that your life can continue. Now, say you're on your deathbed. They come to you, they say, listen, we're gonna take. All right, they're not Italian, but I'm trying to make it a little bit more ominous. They come in, they sit you down, they say, listen, we know you're kind of towards the end of your life. We know you don't have too much time waiting. Uh, on behalf of the United States government, we wanted to offer you an opportunity to see if you would like to upload your brain to this network. And you say, no, I think I'm good. And they say, well, wait, let us explain first. It is a new study, a new area where we're trying to understand what exactly the brain is, what exactly you are. And we think that you're a perfect candidate for this. You're at the end of your life. And if you put your brain into a newborn baby, and then we're able to test whether or not you wake up in that new body. And then you'll grow up, you'll become 10, you'll become 15, you'll become 20, you'll become 30, you'll become a full grown adult. And throughout that course of time, you'll be able to check in with us and we'll ask you, hey, are you still the same person or are you somebody else? Do you have any memories? Do you have any experiences that you can draw from in your past life when you were the original you? Or are you somebody who is different? Are you not able to access those memories? That would be something that would provide a lot of clarity on the situation. Moving on. Wait, there's a caveat. What happens when the original biological you also survives the uploading process? So you have your brain, you upload it to a thing, and then you transfer that brain basically map into another human. But you're still alive, you're not dead, and that person is still alive. They're not dead. What happens then? Would you, along with your consciousness, split into two people, resulting in two of you, one in a biological form B and one in an uploaded form C? So you're A. Oh, no, biological form B. And then the uploaded form is C. No, you, A, can't literally split into two separate people, B and C, and be identical with both at the same time. At most, only one of them can either be you. Either A is going to be that B person or A is going to be that C person. It seems most intuitive that after you split, your biological form would continue as the real you, A equals B, and then upload merely a mental copy, or that upload would merely be a mental copy. But that makes it doubtful that you could survive as the upload, even in the case where the biological you is destroyed. Why would destroying biological you magically elevate your mental clone to the status of the real you? It seems strange to think this would happen, although one view in philosophy does claim it could be true. Finally, worth the risk. Unfortunately, the artificial mind assumptions and the survival assumption can't be conclusively empirically tested. We would actually have to upload ourselves to find out. Good luck getting contestants for that one. Uploading will therefore always involve a huge leap of faith. Keyword faith. Personally, I would only take that leap if I knew for certain my biological hardware wasn't going to last much longer. The state of science and the state of what our society is currently capable of doing and the questions that we're asking. This is a question of morality. If you had the option of uploading yourself to, say, this cloud platform and then re-downloading it onto another person as you're towards the end of your life in an attempt to extend your life, would you do it? let's say they've had 10 people who have done it, and 5 out of the 10 have had positive experiences, and they claim that they are indeed a not even a copy, they are the same person continued into a new meat sack, a new body. But then what starts happening if people just it just doesn't work out? Would you do it? I don't think I would. I think one of the interesting things about topics such as this is that it seems so far off in the future. It seems like something that is completely and utterly science fiction. However, there are people out there who, because of their own particular beliefs, especially when it comes to something like this about is the mind something just physical, just neurons in our head that are just firing, or is it something more? Are we a transcendent species where the mind is something in the fabric of space that creates us? Is it not just this neuron fires, so this person says this one thing, or this person's neuron fires that way, so they think this specific thing? No, is it something that is ingrained into the fabric of the space time in which we live? Is it something that no matter what you do, this particular configuration of a brain exists in a person? These particular experiences exist in a person, whether it's any place or any time in the future. This particular configuration of neurons would make this particular person. I don't know. I don't know. It is a question that I think is one of those where it's almost impossible to answer because none of us really truly know. I guess the only people who would kind of know are the people who have died and gone to the afterlife. There's so many stories of near death experiences or people who have died, they go into a coma or their heart stops beating and then they're officially dead for a couple of minutes, but then they get brought back. So many of those stories of people having out of body experiences, watching themselves, and being able to point things out in the room, which they were unconscious, they were dead. They couldn't have known that. But because they have this out of body experience, they can relay this information back. What is that? I mean, what happens after we die is the ultimate question. It is the ultimate, what is this place? Many people talk about simulation theory. Is this actually a simulation? Are we in this giant computer simulation where we're just pawns almost? I don't know. I think it's important to ask these questions. I think it's important for us to get answers as well. And I think it's important that you, knowing this possibility, spend some time and think about it. Like, what is this? There's cars going outside, they're driving, and are these people that are on we live right next to the highway. It's not very loud, thankfully. There's not a lot of accidents or people honking or beeping or anything. So it's very peaceful. But how many of the thousands of people just during the recording of this podcast who have driven back both ways, pose the question to them? What do you think your mind is? What do you think this brain of ours is? Is it a simple just neurons in a particular configuration? Has these reactions that us as meat sacks or just corpses and bodies are just running through space? Or is there something deeper? Or is there this other realm where our mind exists and it's not something that's just physical? There is a almost spiritual aspect to it. There is almost this different dimension in which your mind can exist? I don't know. I don't know. I do know that spending some time in reflecting and thinking on that can help you treat other people with a little bit more understanding. And I'll say this like I say this all the time. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, somebody honks at you, somebody flips you off even. It's not the end of the day. And it's not something that you need to yell at somebody, get angry at, or fight over, because at the end of the day, we're just humans. We're just people on a planet, and we could get taken out with a solar flare. We could get a massive coronal mass ejection that hits our planet, and we're done. There is no way to stop that. There is no, well, the government's just going to implement a 2 week stay at home. No, nothing you could do. Nothing. That could happen right now. And then what would happen to us? You have to be appreciative of the time that you have on this planet. And while you have that time on this planet, I'm only 25. I'm only 25 years old. Most of this stuff, I think if you go 20 years in the future, I'll probably flip flop and disagree with every single thing that I'm saying right now, because I'm not a very smart individual. I'm not somebody who is not even super original in my thoughts and stuff. And I do these podcasts because I find this stuff so interesting, but I have my own cons. And I wonder if something like this will be better understood by the time when I get older, because this is a question that I think almost everybody on earth wants to understand. For the people who are living lavish and the Elon Musks who are of the belief that we're living in a simulation, which is understandable for him. He is the richest man on the face of the earth publicly. Why wouldn't he believe it's a simulation? It's just a crazy set of circumstances and things that have fallen his way. Not that he's all due to luck, but he has gotten himself to a point where he's that guy. He's the one guy above the rest. And if you're in that position, I would probably believe it's a simulation. Like, this whole thing is just crazy. But if you're somebody who, like myself, not making 500 grand a year, not making crazy amounts of money, not, I do all right. I'm able to pay my bills, but I think often about what is this experience that we have with each other? Why are we having so much disconnect in the world right now? Why do we have to do such terrible things? I mean, the wars going on currently right now and conflicts in America here. I don't know. If there is a possibility of us uploading our mind to a server at this stage of my life, I think I do it. I think I want to find it out. I want to find these answers. And I think you should too. I also think you should enjoy the rest of your day. This is the Zach Moore Podcast.